Alright guys, so we're continuing with decimals. Just like the last video, I already wrote down the steps, hoping to save us some time. If you notice, our last video was much shorter. I'm hoping to make some of y'all happy by making these a little shorter. Like I said last time, if you want to pause me right here, write these down, and then hit play so that you can hear what I have to say, that'd probably be a good idea. Dividing decimals, some people tend to freak out with this because when you're dividing decimals, you're using long division. And some people, A, they don't like long division, and B, they're not very good at it, so they say, or so they think. So they get really scared about having to do these problems. But really, it's not that bad. You just follow the steps, and they're pretty simple to do. So we'll start up here. The words in blue, these are your rules for how to do long division. If you're in my classroom, we usually show a song. It's got a little rhyme to it, so divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Those are your steps every single time you're doing long division. So after you bring it down, you go back to divide at the beginning. So it's just a repeated steps until you finish the long division. Now, usually in elementary school, when you were doing long division, you had a remainder. In middle school, we don't have remainders. 1 out of 80 questions might have something to do with the remainder. We do not really do remainders much. We keep it going by adding a decimal, which is kind of what we're going to be looking at these next couple days. So my first step is put the first number inside the house. We're just doing straight problems these next couple days. We're not doing any word problems. Obviously, when you do a word problem, it's not always going to be the first number they give you. But the problems that we're doing these next day or so, the first number that's in the problem, that's the one that's going to go inside your house. And by the house, I mean the division house right here. So inside underneath the division bar. Second step, make the outside number a whole number by moving the decimal to the right. So you cannot do long division with a decimal on the outside, okay? So you have to move that decimal. So like if your number is 2.13, then you move that decimal 2 times so that it gets behind the 1 and behind the 3. Okay, so you want to make it a whole number. So if it was 2.13, I'm going to move it twice so that it becomes 213. If you only need to move it once, then you just move it once, okay? So you just have to move it however many times you have numbers behind the decimal. Step 3, whatever you do to the outside, you have to do to the inside. So if you moved your decimal on the outside twice, you move the decimal on the inside twice. If there is no decimal on the inside, obviously the decimal goes at the end of the number because it's a whole number, and you would still move it twice. So no matter how many numbers are on the inside or the outside, you have to move them the same number of times. Once you move it on the inside, make sure you move it straight up into the quotient. The quotient is the answer at the top right here. So just move it straight up so that you know where it goes in the answer. And then at that point, you would just do regular long division, which is these steps up here. Okay? So let's put this into some practice. Like I said, if you don't have all this written down yet, hit pause, and then you can play me later. Okay, so let's do some examples. We're only going to do 2, so not the end of the world. All right, so 14.19 divided by 2.2. All right. And we said the first number goes inside the house. So this is my first number. It doesn't matter if it's big, small, whatever. It's the first number, so it has to go inside my house. So 2.2 is on the outside. 14.19 is on the inside. Okay, step 1. Step 2 says make the outside number a whole number. Right now it's not a whole number. It's 2.2. Okay, that's not a whole number, so I need to make this become a whole number. I do that by moving my decimal just 1 time. Okay, so if I move it 1 time here, step 3 tells me I also have to move it 1 time here. All right, so let's rewrite this so we can see how it looks now. So I move this decimal to the end, so now this becomes 22. All right, I move this decimal, so instead of being 14, the decimal is now in between the 1 and the 9, so it's 141.9. Step 4 tells me to move the decimal straight up into my quotient, and now I can just do regular long division, okay? So the first step of long division is to divide, okay? I'm going to divide. Does 22 fit into 1? And it does not, so I'm going to put an X right here. Some people put zeros. I like to put X. It doesn't matter either way. All right. So then we go to the next one. Does 22 fit into 14? No, 22 does not fit into 14, so I'm going to put another X. So now I'm at 141. Does 22 fit into 141? And yes, it does. All right. This is where a lot of people panic because this is where you might not know off the top of your head what the answer is. But you can just do some quick multiplication to figure it out. And sometimes, you just have to use some common sense. So, for example, I know that 22 times 4 is 88. All right, so I know it has to be bigger than 4. I'm going to start with 6. Okay, so 22 times 6, that's 12. Carry my 1, that's 12, that's 13. And that's actually going to be what it is, because if I went again, it would be over 141, since I'm only 9 away right now. And a lot of people, I've noticed, when they turn their work in, they have a whole bunch of eraser marks all over their paper, and they erase this work right here because they don't want the teacher to know that they had to do all this work, and they're embarrassed by all of it. But leave it, because you might need these numbers again later, so just leave it right there rather than having to do the work all over again. So I'm going to put this 6 up here, put it above the 1. All right, so my second step was multiply, so I do 6 times 22. I just found out that it's 132. All right, divide, multiply, subtract. Here I'm subtracting. So 141 minus 132 is 9. All right, next step was bring it down. You bring down the next number. Okay, how many times does 22 fit into 99? It fits into it 4 times. Because like I said, 4 times 22 is 88. Now I need to subtract. So 99 minus 88 leaves me with 11. Now, if you were in elementary school, you would stop right here. You would say it's 6.4 and the remainder's 11, okay? But we're going to keep going. Welcome to middle school. All right, so after you subtract, you bring it down. Well, if you look right here, there's nothing to bring down. So what can I add that's not going to change anything? Well, you add a 0. And then you just bring down that 0, okay? So then you're at the divide step. So how many times will 22 fit into 110? Well, obviously it has to be less than 6, so let's try 5. And it is 110, so I get 5. And now I get 0. So you're done. So the answer to this problem is 6.45, or 6 45/100. Okay? All right, let's do another one, then we'll be done. Let's do 52.80 divided by 0.44. Okay? First number goes inside your doghouse. Oh, sorry, that's what we call it here because we're the Bulldogs. Sorry. First number goes inside the house. So 0.44 is 52.80. Okay, I need to make this outside number a whole number. So I move my decimal. I got to move it twice. If I only moved it once, it would still be 4.4. So I have to move it twice. Okay, whatever you do to the outside, you have to do to the inside. So now this is here. All right, let's rewrite this problem. So now this number out here is going to become 44. You can drop the 0. You don't need that anymore. And this is now going to become 52.80. My decimal is now back here, so I'm going to bring it straight up. Okay? Now we can just do regular long division. Does 44 fit into 5? No, it does not. So does 44 fit into 52? And it does. It only goes into it one time. So 1 times 44 is 44. If I do 58 minus 44, I get 8. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down. So I'm bringing down the 8. Remember, you can only bring down one number at a time. How many times does 44 fit into 88? It fits twice. 2 times 44 is 88. I get 0. I need to bring down this 0. How many times does 44 go into 0? It doesn't, so that's a 0. 0 times 44 is 0, so you get 0 and you're done. So the answer to this one is 120. And I have that decimal at the back, so like if you wanted to add a 0 on the end, so 120.0, that'd be fine, but you can really just leave it as 120. So really, the main things you need to focus on for this lesson are making sure that you're moving that decimal on the outside and then moving it on the inside as well. Everything else is just long division practice. So if you just need to practice with your long division, then you can do plenty of those problems on your own. But the main thing I want you to remember for this particular lesson on dividing decimals is definitely making sure you move those decimals the correct number of places. So make sure you're practicing that.